Wallace.
And I have Don Holly here with me.
3 phases, dressage, cross-country, show jump. And you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right. You know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you here from the Horse Trailer Pros studio. And be sure not only to check us out here on Facebook and YouTube, but we now are also available on most of your big podcast players, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
So cool.
Excited. Yeah, I know.
I can't believe it.
Moving up in the world.
Hey, it's a great thing, and it's great to be back in the studio again.
Yes, we're still hanging in there.
I'm sporting my mask that I have been wearing at schooling shows, and remember everybody, when the USEF starts back, we've got to wear them when not mounted.
That's right, and really exciting is that we actually are going to be returning to competition pretty soon.
I know. I think
this
we're
weekend.
going to be going before you. I know that the events are coming up that are, what are you
So
have them listed?
June 5th and 6th, which is this weekend, we have our first events of the season, and it looks like it potentially is going to be Plantation Field.
Right.
And then River Glen and Feather Creek. So we've got Area 2, Area 3, and then Feather Creek, I believe, is Oklahoma. So that's Area 5.
Right.
Right. Ha ha! Got my
Yay.
areas.
And here's the thing, my pony, I have a medium pony.
Right.
Orchard Hills Snapchat, getting ready for pony finals, but it's in Wellington right now.
Does he have his own Snapchat?
No,
you
and I
should-
hate Snapchat.
You
so
should get on
I'm
it.
living with it.
We're already on Facebook, YouTube, and all the podcasts.
Yeah, but
and we do
Snapchat-
Instagram and
Snapchat
Twitter.
is so,
Why aren't we on Snapchat?
well, because we're not on Snapchat because reasons.
All right. So, what we're really excited about is that coming up, we just had walk in the door our first guest, who will be with us momentarily.
All right.
Which is
I was like a little bit.
oh my God, what do we
there
do?
she is, but you know.
The fame has walked in the building, ladies and gentlemen. So we
So
have.
that back to the Snapchat.
Yes.
So what I was
killing
saying
me.
was in Wellington, it's at Global. So this weekend was a schooling show. So the people that took the pony down said they are going overboard with this whole social distancing. They're trying to follow the USEF guidelines, and I'm like saying, we just got to do it. We just got to go through it,
Yep.
and we got to do the best that we can to do what we are supposed to do, and we'll all make it through this.
Right, and I think that's really an important thing, isn't
Right.
it? Is like if we all go and we deal with it and we just do what we're supposed to do and follow the guidelines, then it's very likely we're going to get to keep competing.
Right.
If we don't, and people don't follow the rules, then it's very likely that we won't be able to.
And you're kind of taking the long route. You're not going out until the middle of August, right?
Right, well, you know, the thing was, I sort of, when we first got locked down, I held out hope that things would get rolling a little bit sooner.
Right.
And so I had horses that I wanted to get to Bromont. And because that was June, I thought, well, there's a chance. So I kept them in work. And then by the time I realized, okay, that's not going to happen, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep them going, keep training on them, because those horses now won't have a spring season, basically.
Right.
And so I'm going to take them and aim them for Jockey Club at the end of the year. And so I felt like they've been going since beginning of January, middle of December, and they needed a bit of a break there. So they're getting a little bit of a break right now. They're actually, I think, have 1 week left, and then they'll get put back into work.
So you're just going back into the rotation.
I'm just going to start up, and basically the way I always work my season
Right.
is I pick my
then
end
you work
competition
backwards.
and I work backwards. And so for me, I'm going to go and start competing in July at the Pop show down at the horse park,
Right.
and then start eventing. And I have a competition every 2 weeks, basically, of some sort
leading up to it.
up to Jockey Club. That's a really good circuit we have now. So we've
That's
got
great. And I know we're going to the chat and then picking something else in July. We haven't picked that out yet.
Right.
Hopefully getting to the Maryland 5 and the Jockey Club.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So It's exciting. We're back at it.
Back at it. We have an exciting show. We have episode 9, and we have the great Karen O'Connor going to be on.
Yeah, who just, like I said, just came in.
Through the doors.
Sitting right there. She'll be with us in a minute. We're
Right.
excited about that. And then we've got Rob Burke, the CEO of US Eventing.
Talk about what's going to be happening.
USEA.
Yeah, USEA, but talk about what's happening on his end, what he's been doing. I know their staff's still working remotely. I'm hoping they get back into their building soon.
Yep.
And then
and before we go on to our next one, what's pretty cool with Rob is, I'm not going to give it away, but a little bit of a tease here. There's a pretty exciting announcement coming from USEA with their frangible fence fundraiser.
Oh, cool.
And so Rob's going to spill the beans on that and let us know where we're at on that. And we'll find out if I have to get the tattoo or not. I don't even know.
And if you do get the tattoo, we need to be there filming it.
Oh, it'll be filmed one way or the other. Don't you worry, because I'm going to cry.
Is it going to be on your side?
I think I said I'd do it on my ribs, which is like apparently the worst place to get it. I have a few, and the guy who does mine said don't ever get one on your ribs because it's the worst.
Well, good. We get to see you cry.
Yeah, I'll definitely cry. So
great.
that's cool. And then we've got Mike Winter is going to come on as well at the end of the show here, and I'm excited to get to talk to him. He has some very strong opinions on safety and eventing, and I love to argue with him. And actually, to be honest, I was talking with him a couple weeks ago, and we were arguing back and forth, and I was about to tell him he was a real you-know-what, and I thought, this is great TV. Let's have Mike on.
We'll just hold it for that.
I said, you're a jerk. You need to come on the show. So we're going to do battle.
Good. Well, good. I want to hear that battle.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, he's a good guy and a very good friend of mine, and I can't think of anybody I'd love to argue with more than him, except for possibly you.
Yeah.
Or Karen.
You.
Actually, I love to argue with Karen as well, so that'd be good.
Well, we get to bring her on soon. So are we coming into where we can talk about the next issues that are coming up? Something going on in the world today that I just want to make a statement that we all just need to be better people and look out for each other. And what's your statement for the day?
I mean, yeah, it's a crazy time, isn't it? It's
Right.
like you look at the news and you think, wow, maybe the world is ending. And
Right.
then you turn on the news the next day and you're like, holy cow, it got worse.
I can tell you this. I heard that those murder hornets, what are they?
Yeah, I think that's right. Murder hornets or
Is that right, Briggs? Murder
hornets, right?
They're dying.
Something good happened.
They're getting murdered somehow.
Unless you're a murder hornet, then it's not so good.
I think they came into to our continent, and then they just weren't doing well with the environment. So they're kind of plucking down and going down the drain.
Perfect. Maybe it was the coronavirus got them.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what it's all about.
And then we did Majestic this weekend. We did a jumper show. It was another good weekend getting the horses ready to go out. I think this coming weekend we're going to do the Majestic 3-phase schooling show. Are you doing anything next weekend?
Yes, we're going to go. I think actually, so I had some of my students this past weekend were at Barnstaple. They did a little derby there.
How was that?
It was great. I think Mark McCleary set the cross-country course out. He did a really good job. They got lots of rain, so the ground was nice. Very well-presented course. All the combinations rode really well.
Right, good.
Was very helpful for all the students. And then, it had a good show jump course. The rings were nice. It's a good place and really useful. And I think, the big thing is how lucky are we down here in Ocala?
We were very lucky.
Even in the middle of, well, I guess not quite the middle, but the beginning of the summer where it's getting so incredibly hot,
Right.
we still have such a great list of competitions to be able to go to practice. So we did that. We're going to take this weekend off, and then the following weekend, I believe there's a pop show down at the horse park.
13th.
And so, we're going to head down there for that. And I think my wife is going to make her annual debut and go and event a couple horses down there.
Wow, good for her. Good for Jen. She deserves to do
She's
that.
excited. She got to school two of them today and had a great time and said, I'm going to go to the event. So
And then you got your cups.
I got my cup. Yeah, we're getting big time now, guys.
I know we got cups.
Yeah, we got our mugs.
I like those.
Yeah, well done. Lots of merchandise.
Well,
We'll have
that's
those up on
exciting.
the store soon, I'm sure.
No, we need to start marketing them.
Absolutely.
It's a great thing. And then the other things that are kind of exciting coming up is the announcements of, like you said, the frangible pens, where we are with the funding, and what other great things are happening with your push-ups, because I know we're trying to bring awareness to mental illness disorders. You are almost finished.
Actually, I finished on Sunday. Did my last one, and I was super
you look
excited
good.
because nobody is going to have to ever watch me do push-ups again unless
I know
you're
it.
at the gym,
Right.
which is great. And yeah, so I'm done, but you still have a little bit left, right? So I think maybe like Karen needs to get nominated. I bet she's good
See,
at
what
push-ups.
happened to me the other day was I was really on my third day, and then somebody asked me to do a handstand, and which I can do really well, but I did it and I tore the rotary cuff again. So I got to wait a couple more days.
So the reason you're looking so swole and like vascular in your arms is because you've torn something in your shoulder.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just it's steroids.
Got it. Perfect. He's juicing. Oh man. Don't let WADA find out.
I know that. Look, we're going to wind this down. We're going to bring on Karen O'Connor. She's a great person to have on the set. Talk to us about her history in the eventing, what's her future look like, and her coaching aspects. And I know she is the coach for Mexico.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So we're going to have Karen on, 5-time Olympian, guys. So hang out, and we'll be right back with Karen.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, and amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths. And we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com. The equestrian life has big highs, heartbreaking lows, and so many moments of self-doubt. From CCI 5-star to starter, every rider needs a support system and a cheering section. A care package filled with equestrian goodies can be the perfect way to celebrate, congratulate, or commiserate. Let Present Pony do the work so you don't have to miss an opportunity to express your love and support.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show. We are presented here by the Horse Trailer Pros, and we're in the studios on their lot. And we have a great guest today. We are also moving on to Spotify for our podcast, as well as Apple Podcasts. So out there, if you are driving and doing something, you can pull us up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
You got it.
So we're going to toss it over. Look who's here with us.
Don't drive off the road.
Yeah. So we're really excited to have 5-time Olympian Karen O'Connor, double gold medalist at the Pan American Games with the one and only Theodore O'Connor, the super pony. And Karen's, her career really speaks for itself. She's been on so many teams with so many great horses, rode the great Mr. Medicott, everybody's favorite for sure.
For sure. Lovely horse.
Had another great team horse in Mandiba. Obviously, we had Theodore O'Connor there.
Those are while you guys are all been alive.
Yeah,
Before
and then
that.
we had Upstage. And I want to talk at some point about all these horses because I remember Upstage Woody was such a cool horse because he was a good horse, but he was a great horse because of you.
But he was a great personality.
Yes. But I think
huge personality.
If it hadn't been for you, I'm not sure that horse would have been.
And Max.
Max
Max
for sure.
adored Wood.
Yep. And then, of course, the one that everybody really probably remembers you on, at least in my era, the most, which would be the great Biko.
For sure, yeah.
And how can we not say Prince Panache?
And Prince Panache,
But
yeah.
Biko
There's
just
a lot.
had that
There are
Great
a lot.
horses that you've had.
I think my mother counted 35 around Rolex or something.
Is that right?
I think so.
That's cool because I had like 3 or 5. So.
You forget half
That's
of
good.
them.
I've had just hardly one.
You actually forget some of them until you're reminded, and then you're like, "Wow, that's really cool!" And like these are amazing horses.
Right. Yeah.
So we really appreciate you coming on set.
It
we've
is a pleasure.
We've had a rough time with the pandemic, and I know Briggs and I have ran into you a couple times in all places, of course, Publix.
Yes, with masks
and everything.
And we are doing social distancing right now. Otherwise, I'd be hugging these guys, but
Right.
can't do that.
Going to stay distant. We've got our Germex right here, but we got to see you a couple times. I think
Yeah.
had a conversation. I know your mother's staying with you, so you're being
Well,
very
my
careful.
mom has her own home
Right.
here in Ocala.
Right.
And David took all the horses with Lauren and Mia Farley and the gang, took them up to Virginia, I think 10 days ago.
Oh.
And so the farm doesn't have any horses on it, but I really, I want it to be a lot more stable in that area before Mom comes up,
Sure.
to be with us up in Virginia. So I'm pretty happy to hang out in Florida. It's my first time really settled to hang here.
Right.
And I actually think it's a cool place. It's a really cool place.
It is a cool place. Even
During the summer. During the
Pandemic.
Pan-Ams. But during the pandemic, but then also just being here during the summer is really, you've been telling me for years, but it's really true. It's really a lovely place to stay for the summer.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, it is. I mean, it's hot, but it's hot everywhere.
It's hot everywhere.
And if you don't like the heat or can't deal with it, you get up a little early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a wonderful place, and it's gotten. I mean, I've been here for 20 years, and it's gotten so much better in the summer
Sure.
as far as options of things to do
Sure.
and keep the horses going. So.
Just like you were talking about today, having 3 different options to go to today.
Right.
For the horses
Yeah,
to practice.
Absolutely. So obviously, you guys stayed down here as a team a little bit longer.
Yes.
And so now, it sounds like that team has basically moved north, other than you and like a skeleton crew.
Yes.
And so you don't really have plans set as to when you're going to go north. You're going to kind of hang out and just play it out.
At this point, I think it's going to be. We're going to wait and see when the competition world opens up, right? Because we all are waiting.
Right. I mean, hopefully it's this weekend, but is it going to stay or not?
We're waiting for the next cancellation. But I think the reality of the show is that things are going to start to open up, and maybe by midsummer things will be up and going in area 2 for recognized shows.
Right.
FEI, I don't know. That's up to the organizers and whether they can pull it off. Then you're dealing with international judges and officials and all that, so it gets more complicated. But for sure, I think Great Meadows is the end of August, and I have a lot to do with that, as David is the organizer, with Durham Mullet. And so I need to be up there for that,
Right.
for sure.
So even if you just had to run up, you'll be up there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So I think the big thing that I always love to talk about is the history of the sport. And obviously, you've had an amazing career and have done, some amazing things with some incredible horses like we've already touched on. So the thing that, obviously we can all look back at Theodore O'Connor, and I remember sitting there that first time you took him to Kentucky. Actually, I remember watching you walk out to the box. I ran into you on the way. I'm not sure.
You said, "Are you crazy?"
In fact, what you said was, "I'm really nervous. I've never been this nervous."
Yeah.
So I'd love to sort of hear your thoughts on that, because I remember saying to you, I think the only thing that came to me, which I still think was the best thing I could have ever said, was I said, "Are you kidding me? You're Karen flippin' O'Connor."
You didn't say that.
That's what I said. Maybe
Kind of. There was the full version.
Yes, mine was
the
unedited.
unredacted version.
I said, "You're going to be fine," and you were better than fine.
And that actually gave me a lot of confidence, because
you heard it here, guys.
I know, right? Oh, don't. But I had, he had a great run up to Rolex that year, but I really felt like he was already the people's pony.
Yep.
Had everything to lose and not so much to gain, I thought, in that moment. So I was really concerned if I'd gone out there and something had happened to poor Ted, that I would regret that the rest of my life, because he'd already gotten to the 4-star level. Now it was a question of, could he be a 5-star horse, and a 5-star horse at Rolex, not just doing the short but doing the long. And it was quite a daunting challenge. And I don't know, maybe it was stupid, maybe it was whatever it was, but we had a thing, and that relationship carries you through a lot of things, through any sport in equestrian. It's about the relationship. It's about the the day-to-day moment of that relationship. And on the day when you pull the trigger, that is where everything, the foundation comes from, is that relationship.
So, to that point, I think all of us try to build a relationship with our horses, and that foundation that you're talking about comes into what? Trust, right? To me, the trust of when you have to, because we ride with you, and the way that you teach and the way that you instruct us from your perception is that foundation can sometimes flip back and forth, where you got to trust a little bit on the horse and the horse has got to trust back on you. So
I think, but also take a step further back,
Right.
because you guys are quite experienced, is that before that you have to learn the technique, and the technique has to be very consistent. It has to be repeatable and reliable for the macro and the micro.
Right.
Once you have that foundation in the teaching, then you can start to broaden the range of types of horses that you are capable of talking to, capable of communicating with. And
because some people aren't able to communicate with a lot.
well, some people don't get the opportunities that like I have,
Right.
or you guys have. You know, I mean, they haven't had those decades and decades and decades of experiences that,
Right.
you know, the one you learn the most from is the one nobody knows. He's back in the barn, or he'd never made it, or something happened, and you learn so much from that horse. But the ones that are out there in the front, they really take center stage. And in the case of Teddy, I got halfway around that course and I was like, oh my God, he's doing this so easy. I cannot take this away from him. I cannot take this away from him. So I stepped up the speed, and he was doing it so well. And I pressed him up the hill past the tobacco barn to the Normandy bank, and I couldn't believe how he shot off like a rocket. I'm like, you get this game. You want this. You want this real bad.
And if I recall, you were first out.
Yes.
And
But I wanted to be first out. I mean,
well,
I
and that was what I was going to say. Was I remember at the time, and I don't know if you know to this day if there's any validity to it or not, but I remember around the barn, sort of the talk was, they put Karen out first on the pony in case it didn't go well. There weren't going to be that many people there.
Yeah, but then they didn't expect that it was. He was the people's
He was amazing.
Pony. He was the people's pony.
Everybody showed up
People
early.
were all there.
They were all there. It was like it was noon, right? And I had 2 other horses to ride that day. So
Had you heard that rumor? That they put you first on him because they were like,
No,
it's
I
a
didn't
pony,
hear
we don't know.
that. No.
That's good, because I always felt
No.
like, God, that's just that much more pressure.
I didn't hear that. It was more that I was glad that Janie realized in my conversations with her that my first horse I was hoping would be Teddy O'Connor, because it would be really unfortunate if it was a rainy Rolex and he had to go in the 75th position.
Right.
That would be really unfortunate. And Janie said, I think it would be terrible if he went last.
Right.
I think that, I hope you get first in the draw.
And somehow the draw turned out that way.
I was so lucky.
Conspiracy theorist, take that.
True story. Janie, you're watching.
I know, and we have so much
we
to
had fun
talk
talking
about
about it.
with you, and we're going to wind this segment down, but you're going to come back for the second.
I would love to.
And we can go to commercial in a second, but we're going to sign off until we come back by saying thanks so much for being here. We can't
pleasure.
wait to talk to you more.
We'll be back.
Looking for an amazing fox hunting experience? Contact Black Horse Farm, Fox Hunting and Eventing. Located in Area 4, Black Horse Farm and the Mossback Hounds in Elizabeth, Illinois welcome all USAA eventers to come join them for an introductory fox hunt free of charge. Ride with Master of the Hounds Tony Leahy and the Mossback Hounds over some of the finest hunt territory in the entire country. Visit Black Horse Farm on Facebook to arrange your free hunt experience and hear about the upcoming hunt camp in July. ERA of North America is the voice of the rider, to assimilate and leverage the collective voice of North American riders, equine professionals, and owners. ERA of North America works to improve the overall safety, welfare, visibility, and growth of the sport. Be sure to go to www.eraofna.com and jump in. You can compare, you can contrast, but in the end, there's only one ultra-premium horse feed, Pro Elite Horse Feed. Its nutrition-locked formulas ensure quality, its advanced amino acid profiles maximize performance, its regulated starch and sugar levels mean confident calorie sourcings, and its superior digestibility leads to an overall healthier horse. When it comes to feeding your champion horse, there is no competition. There's Pro Elite Horse Feed. For more information, visit www.proelitehorsefeed.com.
All right, welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, right here from the Horse Trailer Pros studio. And we're very excited that we are still joined by 5-time Olympian Karen O'Connor, multiple medals from the Olympics, and double gold medalist at the Pan American Games. Karen, thanks for sticking around.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Jon.
Absolutely.
And Rick.
And what is that shirt?
This is my favorite shirt. Jen actually picked this out for me today.
Once in a while, someone amazing comes along. Here she is.
Here she is. I think actually it says here I am.
I am.
But, you know, you got to feign confidence.
I mean, you really do work that shirt pretty well.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I try to wear a different fun t-shirt every show.
So I've got some questions. What is your, I mean, we know Teddy was a big memory for you. What can you push any, like something that comes to your head that's like really notable to you when you wake up in the morning and think back on some of your competitions?
I'm not going to give you a specific horse.
Right. Yeah.
Or even a specific owner or student or employee. It is all about the people around you.
Right.
For every horse, there is attached a person. And for me, that is what it's all about. It's about the journey that you've chosen to take. And you can't do it by yourself. There's no way that you can do what you've just said. That there's no way I could have or anybody could do it with just by yourself having this dream when you're 10 years old.
Right.
It is about addressing a group of people, and that's always in motion. That is a moving target because you have owners coming and going, you have students coming and going, horses coming and going, you name it. It's all a big active crime scene. How's that?
So, all right, but then being more specific with that, obviously you were a girl at 10 years old who had the dream.
Right.
And there's got to be a moment, like the moment that I remember thinking of, wow, Karen O'Connor is incredible, was at Kentucky when you were on the horse at the bank and you were trying to get out of the penalty zone and scrambling and climbing on and climbing.
Park Hall, yeah.
And you did it. And to me, that,
yes.
more than Theodore O'Connor around Kentucky, more than the double gold medal at the Pan Ams, more than all of the team medals that you've gotten. That to me was like Karen O'Connor, like just scrapping it out, fighting for everything you got.
I do have a soft side, everybody. I really, really do.
You do, but that's not what makes you the competitor that you are. So there has to be a moment in your career that was like the turning point where you say, all right, when I look back on it, that's when I flicked the switch from the 10-year-old kid who wanted to be an international eventer and represent the United States to the mainstay on the team for a long time.
To be honest, Jon, I think one of the most important things that a young person can have is a really nice horse. And I got so lucky. I had a Connemara cross pony that I got when I was 11 years old, and I brought it all the way through Pony Club and all the way up to the 4-star level, including 2 or 3 North American Young Rider Championships, and he went on, and I leased him. I kept him.
This was a pony, like a pony, or a honey?
He was 15-1, but he was a registered Connemara.
Right, so this was like a preamble preparing you for Teddy.
I was all over that. And that was at the Jack Legoffier, and he used to say, Karen, you make me lose my hair. It's going gray. Now it leaves me because you go so fast cross country. You don't know what you're doing. You're just going so fast. And I said, yeah, but Jack, I'm winning. And he's like, that is not the important thing. So, I mean, we had these exchanges, and that pony taught me how to be brave. Taught me that in order to be really good, for the horse to be really good at cross country, it had to hold its balance. It had to keep its shape. It had to be straight. It had to be all these things that pony instilled in me, even though I did everything on the planet to try to, pull the rug out from under him. But he would never let it happen. And, he was an amazing pony. And then after I stopped riding him, it probably took me 10 or even 15 years before I hit again on a horse that I could actually ride, because I realized he was doing 95% of the whole thing, and I didn't know what I was doing, and that's fall back to Jack Legoff. And so then you have that grit, and it's in the downtime that you find the grit, not in the uptime. It's in the downtime when you're like, oh my God, I can't get a horse on the bit. They're all rearing. They're all running back to the barn. Do I just have bad horses, or are they running to the barn, or are they running away from something? That can't possibly be me. And you stupid horse, and you get, as a teenager, you get angry and all this stuff, and it just, you find out pretty quickly that they don't stay up all night trying to figure out how to mess with you.
Well, and that's been kind of the interesting thing. I don't know if you've experienced it with your horses or students, but with this whole quarantine, is I think everybody's been able to sort of step back and realize, hopefully, how to fill in the holes, but at least to identify, wow, there are some big holes.
And in the sales market worldwide, when you can't sell your horse for the next 10 weeks, I'm talking worldwide, in the European market as well, I think the product is going to be so much nicer and so much better and so much more purposeful for the horse as well, that they will have a much bigger grip on how to have a career in the world of people in today's world. And I think we've all had a chance to reflect on ourselves and take a step back and say, am I being a good human being? Why did I do it that way? And I could have done it this way, and could have taken a little bit more time, and that actually would have been a shorter way to do it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting how and again, you sort of learn this, like you've been saying, you learn things as you go along and get more experienced and get older, of like, wow, if I actually was more patient, I would have gotten there a lot faster.
Sure. The fastest way to get there is to slow it all down.
Right.
And if you don't slow it down, they'll slow it down for you.
Yeah.
Through either, injury or, resistance or whatever, they'll slow it down.
Yep. Had it happen.
Yeah. I know this one very well.
So I got the opportunity to watch you last year because the Mexican team was at the Jockey Club.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to see you come out, give lessons when they're in the competition ring at the Jockey Club. How's that experience been for you?
It's actually really been great. I got hurt in 2012, and that was really devastating for me. All of a sudden, in one moment, I have a whole string of horses, and now I have to watch them drive down the driveway and go to somebody else or be sold or whatever, and that was a really big deal for me. And then along came the idea of being called through Sue Ockenden from Bromont, actually, who had been a TD down in Mexico. She called me up and she said, "You need a job." And I said, I don't know about eventing anymore. There's not a spot for me there. She goes, "You need a job. Can you come to Mexico City tomorrow?" I'm like, no, I can't.
Get on a plane and get to Mexico City.
It was a Friday night. And she said, "All right, how about Monday?" I said, "Okay, well, what's going on?" She goes, "They need an Olympic team, and I think you're the right person." And I was like, oh, my God. Whew, okay. That's a lot of things, right? And whether I was the right person or not, that's what she said. And Sue, she's super strong.
Gets stuff done.
Strong.
She's strong personality. She gets stuff done, and she's very seldom wrong. And so I went down there on the Monday, and I went in there, and the colonel that was in charge at the time, he brought me into the office, and he had a big dry erase board, and it had nothing on it. And he introduced himself. He was all in his boots and breeches and his army stuff, and he passed me the dry erase marker, and he said, "Build me an Olympic team." I was like,
so to that point,
that was a really big deal.
That was
so
a blank
cool.
chart. But they're all military, right?
Yeah, but just taking a step back, David had just become the coach of the Olympic team in the United States. I was asked to leave all of my governance things in the USEF and the USEA for conflicts of interest for David. And now I have this new job that actually was mine.
Right.
And it was mine alone.
And wanted you.
And they wanted me. And not that it's not about me, but they wanted one person. They didn't.
But I think it is that is the point, though, because at that point, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I would think you had a huge part of who you are taken away by the injury.
Oh, boy.
And then, like you said, you're like thinking to yourself, there's no place for me in eventing. And how can there not be a place in eventing for Karen O'Connor, 5-time Olympian, double gold medalist at the Pan American Games? That has to be hurtful on a level beyond comprehension.
Well, it was physical, but it was also emotional.
That's what I mean.
And I actually didn't realize it until I came out of it, and Elisa was part of that too, because, I had such a great time with Elisa and Maya Black and these kids that were bringing their horses to Rolex, that I went through a huge depression
so to get
that I didn't even
something,
know I was in.
to get something to say, hey, we actually, Mexico wants you. We want you to be our coach. We want you to build this. The colonel of the military says to you, here's a whiteboard, make me an Olympic team.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be.
And now it's kind of fun. He's now a general that is, second in command to the Secretary of Defense, and stands to the right of the president of Mexico. So that's really cool also, is that we've all grown
Right.
in the same
Well,
era.
and not, I mean, Elisa's a part of it also when you were talking about Maya and, or Mia, no, it's Maya.
Maya.
And Elisa, and that was 2015-16.
Right.
And they, I mean.
And that's the year that I went to Mexico. It's 2015.
So you
So
had
it was all happening at the same time.
two of your students that year. I think Elisa was 8th and Maya was
Third.
So you had
Yeah,
you had a good year.
It was, and I was like a jack in the box coming out of this horrible place that I had gone.
Right.
And you guys, I know you remember it, is because I was like seriously strange and, not very available and just,
But it was a
different.
transition.
Yeah.
But you have transitioned, and the coaching obviously is a big part of
Yeah.
who you are now, which is good for the rest of us.
But it's really fun right now for me. It's, you feel like during that whole time, okay, so maybe you weren't available, but you're always thinking, you're always trying to think of something, what's a better way to be able to talk to a horse to jump this little bottle right here?
Right.
What's a better way so that he understands he's supposed to jump that, and without, doing all kinds of magic tricks to get him to do it. And it's been really cool to sit back. I remember Mike Huber, he broke his femur, and he couldn't teach by getting on the horse. And so he had to learn to teach by communicating it. And he said it was one of the worst experiences of his life and one of the best experiences.
to make it move.
Made him better.
Yeah.
Well, I know just like always, we could have you on here for a long time, and we hope that you come back.
I'd love to.
But thanks for sharing the experiences you've had and for being who you are, because I certainly appreciate you. You know that.
Yeah, I
Come
know.
and see you all the time. We want to have you back, and thanks for being on the show today.
It's been a truly big pleasure. Thanks, you guys, everybody.
You're an inspiration to have, and like Rick said, hopefully you'll come back. And we're going to be back. We're going to actually be back and have a phone call or a Skype call with Rob Burke.
It'll be fun.
The equestrian life has big highs, heartbreaking lows, and so many moments of self-doubt. From CCI 5-star to starter, every rider needs a support system and a cheering section. A care package filled with equestrian goodies can be the perfect way to celebrate, congratulate, or commiserate. Let Present Pony do the work so you don't have to miss an opportunity to express your love and support. When I compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That means being the best version of me I can, both mentally and physically. That's why CrossFit Antics is my home gym. Coach Vilma creates a fun, welcoming environment that encourages athletes from beginners to seasoned veterans to be their best. New to CrossFit? No problem. Coach V will modify the workout to suit you in a fun, challenging way. Be sure to mention the Jon and Rick Show for a special discount. Summit Joint Performance, the injectable joint supplement used by numerous international and Olympic riders, invites you to experience the winning Summit difference. Made of all natural ingredients, Summit increases mobility and comfort. Win your class with Summit Joint Performance. ERA of North America is the voice of the rider, to assimilate and leverage the collective voice of North American riders, equine professionals, and owners. ERA of North America works to improve the overall safety, welfare, visibility, and growth of the sport. Be sure to go to www.eraofna.com and jump in.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show. We are presented here by Horse Trailer Pros, and we are now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's a cool thing. We are joined here by the USEA CEO, Rob Burke, and thanks for being with us, Rob. We appreciate it.
Hey, man, it's an honor.
Yeah, so Rob, before Rick gets into his grilling of you, I just was noticing behind you there's a cornet. And a lot of people who don't know a lot about music would possibly say that that's a trumpet, but that is a cornet. Am I right?
You're right. Yeah.
And then to that point, bro, Rob, some people don't even know what a mellophone is.
A mellophone's not even a real thing.
Hey, Rob,
to those out there that don't know what the USEA is, it's the United States Eventing Association. You are the CEO, so you're working staff, and we have a president. Who's our president of the USEA?
Max Corcoran. Yeah.
All right. So tell us what the challenges have been for you over this last couple of months. I know COVID's been playing havoc across the world, and especially within all of our realms of the sport, eventing, hunter jumpers, everywhere, dressage. You as a leader for the Eventing Association, what has been the challenges that are set forth, and what are we looking for in the future?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I've had to deal with directly are like regular business things. And I hate to say that. I mean, we're a nonprofit, but we're a business at the end of the day. So for us, it was a complete lack of revenue coming in, right? And from as a member organization, we had, obviously our typical member is someone who's going to go compete in the sport, whether it's beginner, novice, all the way up to the highest levels. And so there aren't a whole lot of people planning to compete during the suspension of activity. So again, that shut down. So a lot of it's just business, getting business back to normal. And then on top of that, one of the things that we were right from the get-go when the suspension was announced by the U.S. Equestrian Federation and ourselves, one of the early things we wanted to do was make sure that there was a pathway really quickly for events that got canceled to get potentially back onto the calendar and cause a minimal amount of kind of turbulence when they come on. And luckily that went pretty easily. So we got a bunch of events back on the schedule. But, day-to-day stuff, it's a lot of working with our staff. We have a small staff, but at the end of the day, they work really hard. So making sure they can do most of their jobs, telework. So, yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah, and I guess to those also listening, I used to be on the board, so I do understand a little bit when you're saying the income coming into the association. The association benefits from events going on by getting a starter fee. Is that correct? And then if there's no events happening, you're not getting a starter fee, so that thus reduces your income and on a monthly basis. So that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Were you eligible for any of the PPP or anything come in for y'all on that?
Yeah, we were. That covered 2.5 payrolls for us, which was
That's
lucky.
great.
I mean, very lucky because, and I probably did a disservice. We are an association, we're a sporting association, but our focus is on education. And so like any organization like the U.S. Golf Association, we pull in money from membership, from those starter revenues. Every time someone goes out on course, they'll pay a fee on top of their entry. And then on top of that, we have sponsorship dollars, we have merchandise dollars. And then donation dollars is a whole other thing. But typically those are donated for specific causes. So as an association, as a business, we saw really a stop to all revenue. Luckily, when you guys were on the board and before that, we have a decent kind of safety security blanket, like savings. But as soon as you start tapping into that, it goes away quickly. And then, so for us to have the PPP was pretty helpful.
That's good to hear. And I think it's helped out a lot of businesses as we move forward. Now we're opening back up. And I know you have a lot of challenges in front of you with the opening. You have the American Eventing Championships coming up. And I think the board's been working on maybe doing, I know you have passed some qualification extensions from May of 2019 back to March. Is that correct?
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
we couldn't get it any closer to the event. I mean, I think you can qualify up until like 10 days before the AEC, but yeah, the board was able to move it back to March 1st to kind of replace the lost season, really.
Sure. Jon, you got some questions?
Yeah, so just transitioning a little bit from sort of the coronavirus and the AECs, I think the big thing that I'm sort of nervously awaiting that you had said you were going to tell me is how we're doing on the fundraising and whether or not I'm going to have to go under the needle.
Yeah, so I got an update today from, I'll say two things. So as I understand it, your challenge was we had to meet $250,000 by the first day of competition, right?
Correct.
So I checked with Plantation, and Plantation are planning to run on June 5th. So that's our goal. But I have really bad news. Unfortunately, we did not reach our $250,000 goal. We're actually closer to 300,000.
Oh, wow.
If I watched your past show right, I think that actually committed Rick to getting a tattoo.
I think I'm at 350.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we only have about let's see. I think it's 35,000 to get to that. So
When
Rick,
that happens, then I'm getting it too. So
yeah. So no, we blew it out of
That's
the
awesome.
water. And huge thanks to you, Jon. I mean, you kind of led the effort on this from the beginning, and you too, Rick. It's been incredible. And you mentioned on a previous show about the Manton Foundation; they stepped up, but we also had to reach this $250,000 level. We had a couple of private donors step up with about $40,000 in committed donations. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, they killed it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, I think the big thanks from all of us has to go out to the membership, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's been, I mean, I'm getting chills actually just thinking about it. The fact that we were able to reach out and push out what started literally a week before this pandemic hit, this goal of $500,000, and to think that we're at 300 now, and we've been doing it while people are, struggling to social distance and have to stay at home. And I guess, in some ways, I mean, I hate to say it, in some ways I almost feel a little bit guilty that we've been raising this money for safety and eventing when people have been fighting to, sort of have some sort of normal life. But I think long term, it is so hugely beneficial for everybody. We have the technology and the ways to make things safer. And, we're going to have Mike Winter on here in a little bit, and we'll talk to him a little more about some safety things and ideas that he has with rider responsibility. But I think for me, if we have the technology, we have to make sure that we have it available out on course. So I'm actually really thankful to the USEA for, I sort of threw that out there before talking to you and said, we're going to do it. And I'm very appreciative that the USEA and the USEA Foundation in particular sort of said, yeah, we are. So it was great. It's just an all around effort by everybody, and big thanks to the membership, especially for stepping up and continuing to make things safer.
Yeah.
And to that point, Jon, I would like to say also, again, I know a lot of factors moved us forward with this push, and Kate Morrell and Carrie On at Rocking Horse, was a thrust forward for everybody. And I think in memory of them, and all the others that were injured or lost their lives because of this, that this will do a lot of good, along with rider responsibility and all putting it all together in education and safety. I think this is a great way forward. And Rob, thanks for all your leadership in doing that.
Yeah, man, it's an honor and privilege. You guys know I grew up in the sport, and I over the years, going back, a long time ago, I've lost some friends, and I take it to heart, and I know you guys do. A lot of people stepped up. You're right. The membership really stepped up. People even beyond the membership. It's been incredible. And I got an update today too on, this. It's not just money that's going to sit in an account either. I mean, we are quickly mobilizing it. We have already agreed and have started to send out all the grants for 44 preliminary tables, 25 intermediate tables, and 10 advanced tables are already being built.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And then on top of that, a whole separate effort, we have some new, really exciting, and I know you guys are aware of the work that Dan Michaels had done. We've got some new exciting designs on frangible equipment going to market from a whole separate account, not associated with this fundraising, and plus today I got literally about an hour ago, and Jon got it too. One of the graduate students at the University of Kentucky who did her whole graduate master's work on research related to this. She just published her thesis and sent us the thesis and a thank you. And I was trying to read through that really quickly. It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Wow. Well, Rob, thank you so much. And thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And I do just want to finish with this and just say that
I know we're separate conferences, so there's no real rivalry between my Packers and your Bills, but I feel you being a Bills fan. I was watching the playoff game at the end of the season last year, and I thought you guys had it. But it is the curse of the Bills, and so I just want you to know that I'm sorry that you're a Bills fan.
Curse is over, man. Curse is over. You watch.
We'll see.
If games actually happen, this is the year, but it would be so Buffalo for the season to get canceled because of COVID-19.
Yes, it would. It's just the perfect storm. Anyway,
Jeez.
listen, thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Rob.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hey, welcome back. And what a great thing that's going to be happening to you. What a great thing for Frangible Pens.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I can't believe that it actually happened. Good job to everybody for getting it done.
And I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, and so what I'm actually most excited about, Rick, is that you are next on the chopping block.
I hope that they get there because I'm a blank canvas. So I'm not like you.
So we have to decide what you'll get.
I'm going to get the same damn thing.
All right, cool. Perfect. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths, and we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com. You can compare, you can contrast, but in the end, there's only one ultra-premium horse feed, Pro Elite Horse Feed. Its nutrition lock formulas ensure quality, its advanced amino acid profiles maximize performance, its regulated starch and sugar levels mean confident calorie sourcings, and its superior digestibility leads to an overall healthier horse. When it comes to feeding your champion horse, there is no competition. There's Pro Elite Horse Feed. For more information, visit www.proelitehorsefeed.com.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, an amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros from the horse capital of the world, Ocala, Florida. And Rick and I are really excited to be joined by Canadian Olympian Mike Winter. Mike, thank you so much. And Mike, just because I can't remember anything, remind me again, you rode at Beijing
and Athens.
and Athens, right? Okay. And then you've ridden in. What else did you do? You did a couple Pan Ams and a World Championships as well.
No World Championship, but 2 Pan Ams. The alternative one at Fair Hill and Rio de Janeiro.
Got it. Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
So I think the first thing I wanted to talk about, Mike, before we start arguing later, was sort of what you've been doing over there with the virus, how it's affected your business. I don't even think there's events going on. So how are you guys dealing with this as not just as an athlete who wants to compete, but as, you know, a man who has a job and a business with his wife and trying to keep things going?
It's been interesting. I mean, we were eligible for a government grant, which was nice to get, which helped us out a little bit. It made it so that we could keep all our employees employed, which, to be honest, we didn't really have a choice because we had 22 horses in, and we've kept everything in some kind of a work. They did ask us to reduce the risk, to to reduce the burden on the NHS, our national healthcare system. And so we stopped jumping for a period of time. I think for the first 4 weeks of lockdown, we stopped jumping, but kept the horses in work. But now we've slowly come back to jumping. We have a facility, a schooling facility, which I think you talked about on a previous episode.
Yep.
That's been back up and running for 2 weeks now, which is huge for us. It's a big part of our income. And that's been a huge relief to open up. And we've been able to do that while maintaining social distancing. So no one's allowed to use the bathroom. The communal washdown areas are not allowed to be used. So when people book online, it's all through an online booking system. There's a set of protocols that they have to follow. And they have to bring their own water for washing down their horses. So everyone not touching the same taps and so on. And we limit it to 2 horse boxes or lorries in the car park at a time. We just do that through staggering of the scheduling. And it's worked out well. It's worked out really well. And that's been a huge relief. But competing hasn't started yet. They're talking about show jumping in a few weeks, which will be great, followed by eventing. A lot of the events are very keen to go. But as you can understand, eventing requires a lot more staff, volunteers, jump judges. A lot of people that are in the vulnerable age group are the volunteers. So it's going to be complicated. People setting jumps in the warm up. They're talking about only having a steward setting fences. So grooms and people like that can't set jumps for their rider. And just
Man, like we don't yell at the stewards enough already.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see you out there yelling, I said 2 up, not 3. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be complicated. I mean, I watch what's going on in America as well. You guys seem to be going through the same sort of, adapting to what's hopefully not a new normal. Hopefully it's just a period of time with these new protocols before we can get back to the way things were at some point.
Got it. Well, as we have talked about in the past, you and I have had some, back and forth, and like everything, I think we probably agree on more than we disagree, but it's always fun to disagree with you. We actually just announced with our previous guest, Rob Burke, that we met our next goal over here for our frangible fence fundraiser. We got the next $50,000, which means I'm actually going to get a tattoo that I promised I would do if we got to that milestone. So we're actually going to have $300,000, and we've already started rolling out a lot of these frangible fences. And to be fair to you, I know you aren't opposed to frangible fences so much as you think they're a very small part of everything. So I just wanted to get some of your ideas on where you think the sport is as far as safety, and get some of your thoughts on it, and then I'll try to yell at you about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of back and forth about this, and I was very, very early involved in frangible fences with Kyle Carter and our prologues. Financially, as a business, it probably wasn't the most viable business, and so we did abandon that. But I do think there's a place for frangible fences. I think it takes the focus away from a much, much bigger problem. Some of these bigger problems I think you're addressing in other rule changes, but some of them I think are completely ignored. I mean, one of the good ones, to start on a good note, is show jumping before cross country. I think it's a opportunity for the judges to watch riders jump and horses jump and make a determination about safety before they go cross country, whether that be from exceeding a limit of penalty points or just from observing safe or dangerous riding. I think that's very important. I don't think it detracts from the sport. I think a lot of countries show jump first, and it doesn't seem to affect the way their results are at international level when it goes to what we now call long format.
Yeah, and we're going that way over here for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think where we differ is I think that there are bigger problems, and I'm not just targeting the American or Canadian system with this problem. And that is, I think that there's a generation now, and maybe it started with ours, that people are less interested in seeking out an overall education in horses and horsemanship. And by horsemanship, I don't mean bandaging. I mean riding, training, everything that goes along with it. And they're more interested in being part of a fan club and then potentially being sponsored and then achieving the social status of being a professional. And I don't think the education part of it is happening anymore. I don't think that people read books about riding like I was forced to when I was a working student for the first time.
But I feel like you have, when I've talked to you in the past, you've been almost to the point of anti-coaching. So that seems like it conflicts with that a bit.
Yeah, because I don't think the coaching that's going on is encouraging knowledge and independence. It's actually eventing has become like we used to criticize the hunter jumpers. So it's become more about hand holding, somebody always there to walk the course, always there in the warm up. And I'm not saying it's only happening in America. And because of it's very hard to compare our sport to other sports because of the customer business professional relationship. And I just don't feel as though independence is encouraged. And I said to you a very interesting thing that I thought would be very helpful, because over here, a lot of people, most people aren't coached at competitions.
Right.
You walk the course on your own. You might have a parent or a friend or a groom in the warm-up, but there's not a lot of coaching going on because everybody's way too busy at one-day events. And my suggestion was, once you are competent at a level, you should maybe show that you have the ability to walk your own course, warm yourself up, and show competency at a level before you move up to the next level without your hand being held.
Well, and this is where we've, I don't totally disagree with that, but I know we've disagreed on this and we're going to be up against the clock here soon. But one of the big things that you and I differ on is your definition of a professional as someone who can go to an event and ride it on their own. And to me, that has zero to do with being a professional. And I think that the top level athletes in any sport have coaches. Aaron Rodgers has a coach. Football players in Europe have coaches who are out there coaching them on a daily basis, helping them with drills and exercises to be better. So I don't see why having a coach at a competition is a hindrance to people being competent riders, which I think is really your definition of when you're saying you want people to be professional, you're saying professional competitors. And that's where I disagree with you, is I see top level athletes, the best of the best. Andy Roddick has a coach or had a coach. All the big tennis players have coaches. So I don't understand why you think that's different for eventing.
In no way do I think that we don't need coaches and trainers, and even the people at the very, very top level. I think there's something unique in our sport where we have to make decisions that depend on a partnership between us and our horse that determine the outcome of a very dangerous element of our sport. And independence and faith in your own decision making is really, really important.
Put your knee down.
Oh, sorry. I really think that coaching is great if it doesn't come between your ability to have belief in your own decision making. And I do think that an extreme of one or the other is bad.
Right.
I don't think that we should have no coaches, but I also don't think that riders should be brought up to not jump unless a coach is present.
No, I do agree with that.
Not event unless your coach is going to that event. Yes, maybe if you're moving up, like doing your first advanced, but if you're quite confirmed at preliminary level and you want to go to an event and your coach isn't going to that event, that shouldn't stop you from going to that event. And I think that's what it's become. And we could argue all day if that has to do with the possessiveness over students or the created dependence over students. But regardless, I think it's a limitation, and why I think it prevents the true professionals to being produced. And I don't mean a professional as someone who went advanced on a horse or went around or halfway around Kentucky. I mean, and that's where it comes back to the knowledge, is reading and understanding, reading books. I remember reading Alois Potowski. I don't know if I said that right. When I was a working student for Nick Holmes Smith. And it gave me a very, very good knowledge base, so that if I did select a trainer or a coach, and it didn't seem like they understood those fundamentals, that maybe that wasn't the coach for me.
Sure.
And
I think.
And also some of those very good coaches like Nick Holmes Smith, who explained impulsion to me. And I teach a clinic now, and you ask these people, I won't even say kids, who ride a decent level to explain what impulsion is, and they have no idea. To explain what a half halt is, they have no idea whatsoever.
I think my input on that, Mike, and I totally agree with the reading. I mean, people have got to seek out and read and get information. But what I do see, and what I am really hard on young riders or students of mine or in the past, is they don't even go at the event or at hunter jumper shows and observe the professionals that are riding at the time that they're just messing around and not doing anything. I think they should very much get off their phones, get off their social media, and sit down at an event and watch John Halling or Leslie Law or Mike Winter ride, and kind of even absorb that experience by watching and experience it on firsthand. We aren't getting that either. They're not only are they not reading, they're not even participating in the event by watching others and learning from them. And that's what we've got to start changing.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's really, really important. But like you said about social media and immediate gratification and people wanting praise, and it's a different culture than we grew up with.
Well, listen, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on. I don't want to cut it short, but we've got to get to some sponsor break here. So I do hope that, and we can have you back again. You're always fun to have on the show. And
definitely. Thanks, Mike. Good.
I'm sorry that I didn't get to argue with you enough.
We can argue later via WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it's hard to argue with some of the points that he's making, because it's definitely, and on all sides of the fences, I think we all just need to come together and
he's
put
been
it
on
all
his
in
best
place.
behavior, Rick. That's the problem. He's been behaving.
Well, I
He's
liked
in
his
front of people. Yeah.
I liked his knee for a while, though. That was cool. Thanks, Mike, for being here.
All right. You guys take care.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us at the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. Make sure you check us out on your podcast players, because we are on Apple Podcast and what was
Spotify.
Spotify. Thank you,
Spotify.
Rick.
Yep.
So we're going to be back in 2 weeks. We're going to have Joe Meyer, New Zealand eventer, Jenny Autry, the director of US High Performance, and a West Coast event organizer and a good friend of both Rick and myself, Robert Kellerhouse. So we're really excited.
That's gonna be a good show.
All right. Till next time.
Till next time, guys. Be safe.
Rick Wallace,
And I have Jon Halling here with me.
3 phases, dressage, cross country, show jump, and you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right, you know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.